I'm an alpha werewolf, supposed to be the protector of my pack. Yet now I'm deeply infatuated with a mere human woman. Chapter 35. Noah was pacing his room, debating whether to track down his mate or leave her to explore in peace. Charles was with them. While Noah didn't trust the vampire to have Lydia's safety at the top of his list, he knew Elle was more than capable of keeping her safe. But then the door of the condo slammed open. Noah and Sean were out in the living room in a heartbeat. Lydian barged in, and the scent of her fear-clogged nose, bringing his wolf to the surface and testing the threads of his control. Elle and Charles stayed at the door. A smart decision considering the situation. Lydian stopped at the sight of him and his brother. Her chest heaved, as if she'd run a marathon, and her pulse skidded in her neck. The blue of her eyes was but a ring around her dilated pupils. She was terrified. "Lillian?" Noah asked, taking a step closer. He scanned her from head to toe. She looked unharmed, at least physically. Her eyes focused on him. She looked around her unswallowed. I'm sorry. What is it? What's wrong?" he asked softly, closing the distance between them slowly. If she flinched from him, he would be gutted, much to his relief. She seemed to settle down. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. The scent of fear melted into thin air. Sean gave him a look and went outside to talk to Elle and Charles, closing the door behind him. Lydia's shoulders slowly lost the tension. She opened her eyes and gave him a wobbly smile. "Sorry, I just freaked out a little." Why, she bit her lips, shaking her head. "Nothing. I think it was just my imagination." "Lydian, what was just your imagination?" She chewed on her bottom lip. Noah cowled at resist any longer. He wrapped his arms around her and gathered her to his chest. With a sigh, she hugged him back. "I'll tell you, but you have to promise me you won't run out of here in a rage." Noah growled. "Did someone say something?" "No, it's not that. I just thought that I saw." She hesitated. "Promise." "I don't make promises I can't keep," Noah said. She huffed, her heartbeat slowing down, and her breathing no longer chopped. Noah added, "But I'll try my best to be reasonable." She was quiet for so long. Noah rubbed her back up and down. She took a steadying breath. "I think I saw someone who looked like the werewolf who raped you." Noah finished. She nodded. Rage shuttered Noah's sight. He pulled away from Lydian and moved to the door, his wolf pushing to take over. Lydian was in front of him in a blink, her face set in determined lines. "You promised?" "Noah." Noah's growl shook the walls. He closed his eyes, aware of the pushing through his skin and his eliminating fangs. His blood simmered in rage. He almost tasted the blood of his prey, the man who had hurt Lydian in the worst way. Blood and retribution took over his mind. His wolf was pushing against his mind, and for the first time in so long, Noah was tempted to just let the beast strip out of him. A soft touch on his arm. Lydia's scent. Her soft voice. "You promise me." "Noah, don't break your promise." With an enraged growl, Noah turned around and flipped the couch, sending it right through the glass walls. They shattered, and Noah turned, looking for something else to vent his fury. Sean swung the door open and stood there, looking worried. He slipped inside, closed the door and leaned against it, keeping his eyes away from Noah's. "Okay, I think the place doesn't need any more redecoration," Lydian said lightly. Her voice settled the wolf though his rage still simmered. She pulled on Noah's arm. When he didn't budge, she poked him in the ribs. "Noah, so help me God, if you touch another piece of furniture." Noah let himself be dragged to the armchair. Lydian pushed him down. His body was too high, strung to sit still, but he complied under Lydian's touch. She was safe. That was all that mattered. He had the sudden urge to take her back to the pack. He wanted to call and check on the twins. He wanted to go out there and hunt down the bastards. Just the thought made him snarl. Lydian sighed and sat on the arm of Noah's chair, her fingers threaded in his hair. And Noah settled down a little more. "What's wrong?" Sean asked, his voice quiet. Elle said you suddenly freaked out. I just thought I saw someone. When Noah growled, she tugged on his hair. I'm not even sure. It could be my imagination. Let's not cause trouble when the council hasn't even started yet. I don't give a damn about the council, Noah said, his voice guttural. Yes, I know, she mumbled. Noah wiped a hand down his face. The cloud of fury that spurred his wolf was subsiding under Lillian's gentle hands. He was thinking more clearly. There was no way he was going to stay still while the asshole who raped Lillian was out there, safe and sound. But Lillian was right. Those accusations were heavy, and he needed to be sure it was the right person before he shredded him to pieces. For Lillian's sake. To Sean, can you find out if Harvey is here? Sean raised a brow but nodded. He stepped outside and closed the door. What are you thinking? Lillian whispered, her fingers digging into the muscles at the back of his neck. He leaned forward with a sigh. I'm going to make sure it's him. Harvey was at the compound, and he gladly took over Noah's request. Lillian refused to tell Noah who she suspected, but she did tell Harvey, pointing out a picture from the profiles of the attending werewolves out of Noah's sight. Now, as the sun sank to the horizon, Noah stifled another growl of annoyance. The council's first meeting was in session. The place was even more packed than the last council meeting Noah attended 6 months ago. Immortals sat in clusters around the meeting hall. The benched seats formed a U around the stage in the middle. Lillian sat between Amanda and in front of Noah. Sean leaned closer and whispered, Aren't you going to tell me what happened? Noah barely glanced at his brother. He was too busy scanning the werewolves present in the hall. It's not my thing to tell. Sean raised a brow and switched to linking. As long as you don't flip out like that again. It's been a while since I saw you that pissed off. No promises. Noah linked. It all depended on what Harvey found out. There was one way to find out for sure if the werewolf Lillian saw was the one who raped her. He already gave orders to Jennifer to cooperate with the vampire Harvey would send. After getting Lillian's permission, Noah's mind kept going over what Lillian had told him about the night she was raped. She had said all she could remember clearly were the man's eyes. Hazel eyes, she had said. Now, he looked every werewolf in the eyes. In vain. He wanted to see if anyone was paying a little too much attention to Lillian. That they all were. Werewolf and other. All looked at Lillian after noticing his scent all over her. He ignored the disapproving looks of most immortals. He couldn't care less what they thought. He needed to know the results of the DNA test. They could have used witches to find out if the bastard was the twins' biological father. That they would need enough blood from the twins and the wolf. And the blood must be fresh, with a distance between them and the twins. And the fact they didn't want to spook the wolf in question, a DNA test would have to do. Harvey tasked a particularly swift-handed vampire, Harvey's words, with getting a DNA sample from the wolf in question. Arthur was on the stage with Venus, his sister and one of the 5, Tero, who was the head of the international witchcraft community, the representative of the Phi delegation, the speaker of the council, and Benjamin, who argued fiercely with his hands, looking pissed. What was going on there? Someone stood over them. Noah pulled in the familiar scent and felt his lips twitch in a snarl. Sean's body gained a subtle tension. A human. Noah. Tu m'as agent extraordinaire, my Nilbe. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The man said out loud. He was an old alpha, a friend of Noah's father. He stood there, his second-in-command next to him, both looking at Lillian. The alpha's face sported a long, reddish beard and his eyes were soft brown. Noah looked at the second-in-command. Blue eyes, not hazel. Lillian glanced over her shoulder at the 2 men. Frowning, Noah kept his gaze firmly ahead. I thought they were just rumors. The alpha continued. I never thought that you of all people would take a human into your pack. And, as your mate. Nonetheless, what has the world come to? Your father would be turning in his grave. Sean's fist tight and on his thighs. Noah was furious already. He only needed the slightest excuse to vent his anger on the man. You better remember who put my father there, in the first place. Stunned silence. Are you threatening me, boy? Noah lounged in his seat, looking deceptively relaxed, but his wolf was so close to the surface only the most idiotic of immortals would think him calm. Take it as you will. Old man, just stay out of my business. Maybe the human will see reason, the alpha said, looking at Lillian. She looked back over her shoulder at him. The immortals around them all watched the interaction closely. Aegeus and Alpha Wolf. He must have a strong female werewolf as a mate. A human is not fit to stand by his side. Even if you turn into a vampire, you will never understand our way of life the way a werewolf would. Noah felt a vain pulse in his temple. He was a word away from throwing caution to the wind and attacking the man right then and there. His hand flexed on the table. Lillian turned in her seat and put her hand on his. She met the alpha's gaze head on. Do you think Noah is a good alpha? Her voice calm. The alpha frowned, glancing at Noah. Urch is strong, he admitted, and his pack has become stronger since he took over. So he is a good one, I guess. Then you should trust that He is going to make the right decision when it comes to his own mate. No. She raised her brow. The alpha narrowed his eyes on her. She didn't look away. She didn't blink. Tension built up. Noah growled low. The alpha finally grunted, his gaze on Lillian no longer superior. Maybe he does. The second in command said something in a voice too low for Noah to catch, and the two wolves turned and left. Sean stared back after them, his eyes glowing amber. You have the temper of a saint, Elle told Lillian. Lillian chuckled, giving Noah's hand one last squeeze before letting go. Raising twin boys is a good way to develop patience. Elle would have skewered the man with one of her daggers, Amanda said. Elle scoffed. No, I wouldn't. My daggers are too precious. She turned forward as the stage emptied except for the speaker. I would have burned holes in his beard. Lillian laughed, and the sound quieted Noah's wolf. The speaker of the council, a tall black female witch, took the center of the stage and hit the staff in her hand once on the floor. The sound echoed around the hall. Silence. The speaker briefed everyone on the situation with the kidnapped females and the illegal club. Lady Venus has confirmed that the hex on Galvin's mind was of similar nature to the hex on Santos' mind, and that the origin of the hex was one. The speaker said, as you are all informed, Blas Ios is responsible for providing Galvin with blood, magic means to infiltrate the packs and requesting the unmated females. Blas Ios has been in hiding since 6 months ago. Whoever has information about his whereabouts must step forward, or they will be treated as an accomplice in his crimes. The space buzzed with whispers. Now to Galvin's punishment. The speaker said, as a vampire, he falls under the 5 rule. The 5 have agreed to release Galvin and all vampires involved in this crime to the werewolves. You will inform us of your decision for their punishment as soon as you agree upon it. The werewolf spirit obviously rose. Sounds of approval echoed around the hall. The speaker moved on. Now to the witch's involvement. The speaker said, her features tightened. Noah had a bad feeling about this. The witches decided that the punishment of their people would be agreed upon by the council. Growl shook the walls and wolves stood to their feet. Like hell they will. A wolf up front cried, shooting to his feet. Those witches betrayed the trust of our packs and hurt our females. It's only fair that the wolves get the right to exact justice. Cries of agreement rose in the air. Tension thickened. The witches' representatives, all sitting down in a group down front, did not look at the wolves. The speaker tapped her staff on the ground twice. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Please. There was no reasoning with the wolves. The alphas whose female members had been kidnapped all looked at the witches like they wanted nothing more than to eat them alive. Arthur stood up and joined the speaker on the stage. People quieted down. He spoke in a low voice that carried to every corner of the room and sent chills down Noah's spine. You might not like it, But it is law, Arthur said. When an immortal is accused of a crime against someone from another race, it remains in the discretion of the culprit's race to decide who will be responsible for the punishment. That might be the law, one of the wolves said, but it's also common courtesy, even a tradition, to give the aggrieved ones their right for justice. It is a tradition, Arthur said, looking directly at Taro, the head of the witch community. Unfortunately, we cannot force others to follow tradition. It is only laws we are responsible for protecting. More protests rose. Arthur's raised hand silenced the crowd. Justice will be met, Arthur said. It might not be by the hands of wolves alone, but it will be met. I will personally see that it does. There's nothing we hate more than traitors. Isn't that right? The accusation rang loud and clear in the silence. Taro raised his chin, meeting Arthur's gaze head-on. Arthur smiled, and Noah fought the urge to look away from him. That smile was a promise of death and pain. Arthur gave the stage back to the speaker, taking back his seat. Lillian, in front of him, shuddered. Your mate is so scary, she whispered to Elle. Elle chuckled. I know. Right. That's so hot. The three women giggled, and Sean turned with an amused smile to his brother. He'll never understand women. Sean linked him, and Noah agreed, but he had an interest in understanding only one woman in particular. Okay, you need to stop looking for him, Lillian said, looking more amused than anything. They strolled to their condo, going through the dark woods behind the buildings instead of the well-traveled paths. He wussed in the hole. Noah asked. Lillian shuddered, stepping closer to Noah. She wrapped her arm around his waist. Why do you say that? You didn't seem particularly afraid. I was afraid, because you were right there. Unaware of the impact her words had on him, she continued. But I did keep my gaze firmly away from him because I knew you might be watching me for any hint. I can't wait for what Harvey finds out. Noah grumbled, wrapping his arm on Lillian's shoulders. She was scared. But there was something more. What's bothering you? Noah asked. She stopped and looked at him. The sparse trees allowed the moonlight through. Lillian bit her lips, and they glistened like crushed rubies. Noah focused on her face. She might hide it well, but she was terrified of something. What if Aegeus the twins' father, what if he asks for them? Noah growled. No one will take the twins away from us. No one. Aegeus a rapist, and the only thing he will get is punishment. Lillian stepped back and hugged herself. But what if they don't believe me? What if they don't believe I was? Noah's heart hurt for the fear and doubt that clouded her eyes. Angry at the people who made her doubt herself and the wrongness of what she had been through. He took her by the shoulders and lowered his head towards hers. They will believe you. And if anyone doesn't, it's their problem. I believe you. Amanda believes you. The right people will believe you. And if anyone else makes you doubt the fact that you were a victim that night, I will crush their throats until they can no longer utter nonsense. Tears shimmered in her eyes. Her lip trembled, and a heartbreaking sob escaped them before she threw herself in his arms. Noah held her while she cried, wondering how anyone could have made her feel that what she had been through was horrible, to the point where she cowed and even uttered the word rape in relation to herself, as if afraid someone would tell her she was a liar, invalidate what she had been through. He held her while she unraveled, rubbed her back while she stifled her sobs and made him wish he could hunt down every single person who hurt her in her past. He held her until she gathered herself and her hiccups subsided. Thank you, she whispered. And for the first time, Noah felt an echo of something soft and warm and so very potent in his chest. He pulled back and looked at her while she wiped at her face. It didn't seem like she felt it, but it was the most palpable Noah had felt the bond between them. He kissed her head, and they picked their way to the house. Lillian groaned. I hope your brother isn't there. I must look like I just cried. Noah smiled. You did just cry. You know what I mean. She grumbled, wiping her face again and sniffing. She mumbled. Stupid red nose. Noah urged her forward. Lydian was one of the strongest people he knew. She would be fine, whatever came her way. Much to Lydian's relief. Noah's brother washed home. The place looked like it had that morning when they just arrived. The glass wall was repaired and the couch was back to its place. Lydian raised her eyebrows at the glass wall. He shouldn't be surprised. Really, he expected no less from Arthur. By the way, she said once they were in their room. What did you guys decide? For Galvin's punishment. He will be hunted down by werewolves, Noah said. At her confused look, he explained. It's the usual punishment wolves choose. Lydian went into the closet and called from there. You say it like I'm supposed to know what it is. Do you just let them go and then chase them? Noah sat down on the bed and listened to the sound of clothes rustling. That's exactly what we do. Lydian stepped out with a stack of clothes and a frown. Okay, you have to explain this to me like I'm a human who just moved into a pack of wolves. Noah chuckled at her dry tone. It's usually done in the woods at night. Werewolves surround an area, in the middle of which the culprit is released. Then the wolves hunt him down. The wolves mostly toyed with the culprit for a long time, catching him and then letting him go, giving him hope and then taking it away. It was cruel. I can't even imagine. With the night and the quiet, the feeling of being hunted down by something you can't see. Lillian shuddered. What about the witches? That's going to be more complicated. Noah sighed and leaned back with his hands on the bed. Lillian's eyes flickered to his chest, and blood rushed to her face. She cleared her throat and turned around. I'll take a shower first. Then she fled into the bathroom. With a smile, Noah went to get a change of clothes from the closet. He linked his brother while waiting for Lillian to finish. Did you see Harvey again? You just spoke to the man an hour ago. Sean linked back. If he has any news, he'll let you know. I know. The sound of the shower turning on had Noah looking at the closed door. Lillian must be in there. Showering? Don't think about that. Do not think about that. With a groan, Noah threw his clothes on the bed and stepped out of the temptation-filled room. He wouldn't leave Lillian in the condo alone. So the farthest he went was the kitchen. He pulled out his phone and called Jennifer. He might as well check on the twins. By the time the shower turned off, Elijah and Desra were telling Noah all about their time in the training ground. Lillian peeked out of the bedroom, her damp hair darkening the white sweatshirt and her feet peeking from the too long pajama pants. Do you want to talk to your mother? He asked the twins. Yes. The twins replied at the same time. Lillian grinned, skipping on her tiptoes towards him. He left her curled on the couch and went to take his own shower. The scent of her in the bathroom had him wishing she was here with him. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He reminded himself. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Thoughts of the wolf Lillian had suspected ran wild in his head. He wanted nothing more than to find the bastard and torture him until he admitted to what he did. But there were laws, as much as their world was ruled by violence. When Noah took justice of the man, he wanted to be sure it was the right person. He would just have to wait for Harvey's results. Steam preceded him to the room. He closed the bathroom door behind him and stopped, his heart fluttering at the sight. Lillian leaned against the headboard, a book open on her lap, the cover pulled up to her waist, and her hair highlighted by orange from the bedside lamps. Two mugs bellowed steam on the bedside table next to her. Noah forced his feet to move to the bed, his heart beating in his throat. He slipped under the cover next to her. Tishy gave him one of the mugs. Gemelli. It warmed his heart before it warmed his hands. Being cared for was a novel experience. Thank you. You didn't have to. I know. She closed her book, put it aside, and sipped her own mug. Her scent was in every breath he inhaled. Noah settled back against the pillows with a heavy sigh. The last time he felt this comfortable was. He couldn't even remember. Lillian traced senseless patterns on the sheet. The mug held forgotten on one knee. He had a feeling he knew what she was thinking. The alpha's words about his father were still fresh in his mind. Lillian was naturally curious. It was a wonder she hadn't asked him about it yet. Or maybe it was a measure of her patience. You can ask. You know, he finally said. She blinked. I assumed you don't want to talk about it. No one in the pack ever does. Noah downed the rest of his tea, burning his throat. It's not pleasant. It was a difficult time for those who remember it. Your father, she whispered. It started with my mother, Noah said, staring at the dim corners, as if speaking the words brought the darkness in his past to this room. She was killed by humans. Chapter 36. Noah felt Lily an inch closer to him, as if sensing him slip away into the memories. My memories of my mother are foggy. Putting his mug on the bedside table. She was gone when I was 9. Back then human poaching was very common. Poaching, as in poaching animals, as in poaching sharpshooters. Noah replied. Oh God. Lily uncovered her mouth, her eyes horrified. I had no idea it happened. Noah shrugged. Media has a way of showing only the side they want to show. And not just for immortals. They do it to other human groups as well. People who are different, whether it's religion or skin color or race. The people they want to be viewed as enemies are vilified by the media first. They do that so the general public supports their government when they decide to wage wars on those groups. Lillian gave a thoughtful nod. Yeah. Immortals aren't the only target for smearing campaigns. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbert, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Noah said, humans poaching sharpshooters has been going on for as long as we both have existed. It's not something new. Shapeshifters' bodies are used as hunting trophies, preserved through taxidermy. Animals aren't the only victims of humans who hunt for the simple pleasure of the kill. But as times grew more advanced and we developed more relationships with humans, they put in place laws that prohibit poaching. But human laws, more often than not, are ink on paper until one of their rich and powerful have need of them, and then they're rigorously enacted. That's horrible. Lillian frowned, anger and horror clear on her face. I never would have thought you guys are so invulnerable. Silver kills us. Lillian, Noah said. We might be called immortal, but no one truly is immortal. We simply have longer lifespans compared to humans and less weaknesses. But we die, just like anything else that walks this earth. The hunters move in groups and use silver. Right now, silver mines all over the world are controlled by the 5. But there are always new mines being discovered and used illegally by humans. Until the 5 hear of it. Lillian nodded. Your mother. She was on patrol near the border. Noah said. My mother was a warrior in her old pack. She joined Dad's pack after they became mates. She insisted on retaining part of her previous duty if after becoming the alpha female. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbert, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She was on patrol and the humans caught her unaware. He shook his head. She was killed, but the humans didn't escape before wolves caught up to them. By then it was too late. Goosens broke over his skin. I remember that day with such clarity. My father was with Sean and me when he felt the bond break. I remember seeing the insanity in his eyes. Something broke in him that day, and he was never the same afterward. He killed all the captured humans, and after that, my father became obsessed. With what? With security, making the pack invulnerable. The following years were a grueling time of continuous training and intense border surveillance. He closed off our pack from other packs. I used to sneak off to meet Benjamin and Jensen. One time he caught me and he shook his head, shoving away the memories of the beating. It's like the only way to deal with his wolf's insistent anger was by working his pack to the ground. But then it became more than an obsession. He became cruel. Anyone over the age of 12 participated in tough duels with warriors twice their age. The submissives of the pack were forced to fight beyond their wolf's instincts. Submissives are gentle by nature. If you force too much violence on them, they break. This messed with the balance of the pack. My father was driving it to the death and his wolf was only getting worse. Lydian put her hand on his. He looked down, only then realizing his claws had come out and pierced through the covers. Speaking about that time was like cutting an old wound open again. Lydian hated seeing the haunted look in those eyes. They glowed in the dimly lit room, and she wanted to tell him to stop, to forget that she asked. But she sensed deep inside that he should talk about it, purge the festering wound so that it could heal properly. I was 17 when Jake's father approached me. Noah continued. He'd been one of my father's top warriors. He knew that if we continued that way, our pack would break from the inside out. He started training me to take over my father. A challenge, yes. Usually, when an alpha is challenged for the position, it's a fight until submission, or in extreme circumstances, death. I challenged my father the first time when I was 18. I was already as big as he was, stronger, and my head was clearer than his, because his wolf was driving him insane. But he caught wind of the challenge, and for the fight, he dipped his claws in silver. That's how you got the scar. Lydian breathed out yes. It must have hurt him like hell, because the silver would have undoubtedly slipped to his fingers. I remember the fight. Noah closed his eyes. It wasn't easy. It was messy and painful and horrible. I knew I had to kill him. He knew it, too, because he would never relinquish control over the pack. It was as if that was all his wolf cared about anymore. As if Sean and I didn't exist. Lillian's heart hurt for the boys they'd been, losing their mother, and then losing their father that way. It must have been devastating. She swallowed the knot in her throat. Why didn't the council do anything? His smile was wry. There was nothing to be done. My father was doing anything illegal per nos. Technically speaking, if the Wolf Council intervened, it would have set a precedent. And no one wanted to deal with other people shoving their noses in their pack's business. You won, Lillian said, her voice teary. Barely. Noah was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice barely audible. The last thing he said was that he left me with a reminder of what I could be. Even in his last moments, he knew he was broken. Lillian turned her head away and bushed her cheeks. Don't cry, Noah said softly. I'm not crying, Lillian said, putting her mug on the bedside table and turning off the light before she turned toward him. His chuckle tickled her insides. You do realize I can see in the dark. Shut up, she grumbled and laid on her side beside him. Noah's eyes were to pinpricks of amber in the dark. What was it like to see in the darkness? She wondered. She blinked her eyes for a few minutes. A heavy quiet descended on them. So many questions battled in her head, but none found the way past her lips. The darkness she had witnessed past the shutter in Noah's eyes was loaded with pain she didn't want to invoke again. The outline of Noah's face became clear to her human eyes. Her finger traced one of the scars on his face. It will go away with time, he mumbled, breath fanning her hand. All scars fade, but those caused by silver might take decades a man. Lillian dropped her hand before she did something more than touch his scar. Her stomach fluttered with warmth. Was she ready to take the next step? She didn't know yet, and that in itself was an answer. What was holding her back? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Noah was the one, and she knew that sooner or later they would end up together. So what was holding her back? Noah turned away and hugged her to him. Go to sleep. I can almost hear you overthinking. Lydia unchuckled and settled down. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Good night. Good night. Don't snore too loudly. She punched him in the side, and fell asleep at the sound of his quiet laughter. Lillian half expected to wake up to the twins sprawled all over her and Noah, but she woke up to an empty bed instead. She shivered, pulling the sheets up until only her eyes peeked. The bed was still warm beside her. She shifted until she felt the remnants of nose heat. Light streamed in through the thin curtain covering the glass wall. It was quiet in the condo. Sean and Noah wouldn't leave her alone. Unless... Lillian slowly sat up, a nagging suspicion in her guts. Her heart raced as she shoved the sheets away and stumbled out of bed and out of the bedroom, sleep vanishing between one moment and the next. Harvey would have the results of the DNA test by now. Lillian found Amanda in the living room with Elle, lounging on the couch. "Yo," Elle said. "We didn't wake you up, did we?" "No, where's Noah?" Lillian rubbed the chill off of her arms. Amanda smiled. "Achia's out hunting with Harvey." "Hunting what?" "You mean who?" Amanda said. "Harvey has the test results. He went without me. They're ours." Lillian whirled around toward the bedroom to dress. She paused and glanced over her shoulder at Amanda, her heart in her throat. "What did the test say? Are you sure about not bringing Lillian along?" Harvey asked. They marched through the woods, taking the back route to their destination. Noah stared at the test results in Harvey's data pad. "She's asleep. You know what I mean." Noah sighed. Did he make the right decision in not telling her? He didn't know. Maybe not. She would be mad at him. But he didn't want her anywhere near the bastard. "So HES not the guy," Noah said, reading through. "But HES related to him, yes. HES brother or his father." Harvey said. "Aren't you going to ask who the wolf is?" "Who is he?" Noah asked. It didn't matter who the wolf was. He would get the name of Lily Aness rapist out of him today. "Alpha Albert." Noah stopped. Albert was the alpha of the Trinity pack down in Texas. He was also the descendant of a born shifter. His line was infamous for strong wolves and the higher risks of insanity that came with it. It was rumored that there was at least one rogue in every generation. Alpha Albert doesn't have a brother, according to our data, Harvey continued. But he did have a son. Did Noah asked, picking up his steps. "He disappeared 10 years ago," Harvey said. "Albert declared him dead. But as far as our intelligence goes, his body was never found. Your intelligence is very thorough." Harvey smiled. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Alpha values information above all else. We make it our mission to know what happens with immortals in his territory and beyond. We're here." Harvey pointed to the large building. "We're going to go in there and have a civil conversation with the Alpha. There's no need to make an enemy of him before we know whether HES involved or not. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." Noah said. "I'm serious." "Noah." "I am." "Too," Noah said. He shifted on his feet. He just wanted to get in there. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'm not Arthur. I won't be plucking eyeballs left and right." Harvey sighed. "I don't know if I like your newly found sense of humor. Lily and S influence." Unable to stall any longer, Noah went ahead, hearing Harvey's deep sigh as he followed him. Here we go again. The lodging where the other guests lived was nothing short of a 5-star hotel. Noah stood in front of the door with the number Harvey indicated and knocked. There was movement inside. Noah's wolf wanted to burst out of his skin. "Civil." "Noah," Harvey mumbled. "Don't worry," Noah said, clenching and releasing his fists. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The door opened, and Noah punched the man, sending him back into the room. Noah followed. Damn hot-headed wolves. Harvey cursed, closing the door behind him. Alpha Albert shook his head and jumped to his feet with a snarl. The couch knocked down behind him. His hazel eyes flashed amber. The color triggered another wave of anger in Noah. "What is this?" Albert asked, standing in a crouch. "Alpha Albert," Harvey said, putting his hand on nose for arm in a bruising grip when Noah made a move forward. His wolf was driving him insane. "We're here to talk to you about something." The Alpha spat blood to the side. Noah hoped there was a tooth in there. Albert's eyes never left nose. No, you're here for a fight. Harvey took a few steps into the room, standing sideways between the two alphas. I assure you, we're not. We need some information. I don't give a damn what you think you need, the alpha said, his voice gone gravelly. It'll teach the boy some respect. Albert and Noah lunged forward as one. Harvey was between them in a blink, his arms stretched. His hands knocked the two alphas apart. Noah felt the blow in his organs. His back hit the door. The wood cracked. He groaned. He'd never known Harvey had that much power in him. Alpha Albert picked himself up from the ground again. The vampire looked between the two alphas like they were misbehaving children. The shadows in the room moved and slithered up the walls like snakes. Harvey's magic leaking. Noah straightened and rolled his neck. He'd listened to Harvey. Harvey nodded and turned to Albert. He shifted his focus to the vampire. Now where was I? Harvey turned to Albert. Alpha Albert, do you know where your son was 5 to 6 years ago? Albert brushed the sleeves of his grey shirt and straightened the collar. My son is dead. That was my question now. Harvey asked pleasantly, his hands tucked in the pockets of his pants. Albert's lips trembled with the promise of a snarl. Whatever he saw on Harvey's face made him speak. I don't. Harvey said. And where is he now? I don't know, he said through gritted teeth. What is this about? So you know he isn't dead? Noah said. I'm not telling you shit until you answer my own questions. Albert said. What do you want with my son? Wrong answer. Noah moved past Harvey despite his warning look. Albert looked ready to attack. Albert might be older, and perhaps stronger, but he was powered by the kind of rage that lit up Noah's blood at the moment. In a fraction of a second, Noah had the other alpha by the throat against the wall, his claws digging into the man's neck. The sharp tang of his blood flared Noah's thirst for violent retribution. Your son committed a despicable crime, Noah said. You will tell me where he is, willingly or unwillingly. It's your choice. Albert opened his mouth, and Noah hated that he could see similarities between him and the twins up close. Before words could leave the alpha's mouth, there was a loud knock and the door burst open. Noah smelled Lillian. Ellen Amanda. Damn it. Well, Elle said, walking in deeper into the room. Having fun all by yourself? Noah kept his eyes firmly on Albert, but he smelled Lillian Nesphire and felt her panic. It lasted for a moment before it disappeared, but that moment was enough for Werewolf's senses to pick up. Albert honed in on Lillian, his brain working as he took in her scent blanketed by Noah. Noah slammed him against the wall and snarled. Don't look at her, Albert groaned, but the threat of sharp claws against his jugular made him swallow his reaction. Does this have anything to do with the human? Albert asked, his eyes on Harvey. Whether it does or not is irrelevant, Harvey said, moving to stand beside Noah. He put his hand on Noah's forearm. Noah didn't want to let go of Albert. He squeezed his hand tighter around Albert's throat until blood trickled down his claws, then dropped him and stepped back. Albert shrugged his neck and looked at the blood on his fingers. The desire for vengeance in his eyes made Noah's wolf rush to the surface, eager to take the other alpha on his challenge. Noah. Liliana's voice broke his stare off. He turned his back on Albert. A deliberate insult. The three females stood by the closed door. Noah smelled Charles right outside. Noah walked to stand next to Lillian. Her blue eyes followed his movement, but flickered every so often to Albert. Having her close by settled his wolf and cleared his mind. He crossed his arms and waited for Harvey to take over. They needed someone level-headed to deal with Albert. And while Noah was usually level-headed, his rage took over him in this particular matter. Understandably so. Harvey sat on the green armchair next to the toppled couch. Albert didn't move from his spot by the wall. Speak. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. When was the last time you saw your son? Albert's jaw worked. It was years ago. His wolf started getting aggressive with packmates. and he proposed to go lone wolf for some time, and he came back once or twice. Every time he was worse than the last. He was going rogue, Amanda asked. No, Albert growled. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Losing touch with reality. Achidi always been an odd one. His aggressiveness covered his peculiar personality. Being outside of the pack helped. The aggressiveness was gone, but he was. Not all there. Not all there. Elle asked, raising one blonde brow. What does that mean? It means what it means. Albert spat out. So he was going insane and you let him out into the world? Elle asked. I didn't do anything your mother didn't. Fie, Albert snapped. At least my son didn't cause my death like you did your mother's. Elle didn't respond. But her smile was manic. You really shouldn't have said that. Amanda mumbled in a sing-song voice. Enough, Harvey said. Do you have a way to contact him? Harvey asked. Or do you know someone who does? Albert hesitated. Harvey leaned back on the armchair and linked his fingers gracefully under his chin. I won't lie. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. We have a personal stake in this matter. If I even doubt you weren't entirely forthcoming with information, I will resort to extreme measures to pluck the information from your head. Harvey meant it quite literally, and Albert knew that. Rumors of Mariano, whose special gift allowed him to rifle through other people's memories and thoughts, had gained a reputation after the gate scheme in Europe. He used to send emails once every few months. Albert finally said, but they stopped coming a few years ago. That's all I have. Perfect. Alpha Albert. We'll be in contact with you in the future. To keep yourself available. Harvey rose to his feet and closed his suit jacket. And a word of advice. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Know how to speak to people who can make your life a living hell. You're not invincible. Elle suddenly groaned. Noah smelled Arthur a sec, and before there was a knock on the door. No, Elle said out loud. The door was pulled open from the outside. It was meant to open from the inside. Noah blinked, as the door's hinges broke and the door disappeared. Everyone in the room straightened, and Mose Wolf shook his fur, feeling the presence of an angry predator. Arthur threw the door aside in the hallway and stepped inside. His eyes scanned the room and landed on Albert. Albert froze, his eyes glowing amber. Noah almost felt sorry for him. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Snitch, Elle said, speaking to Charles who stood at the door. Arthur stretched his neck side to side. If you would all leave us for a moment. I'd like to have a word with the Alpha. Albert's face lost all colour. His pulse fluttered, and Noah savoured the fear he saw in Albert's eyes. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Elle groaned. You can't draw anyone who says a few unpleasant words to me. You keep telling me I can't do things. My love, Arthur said. Well, I certainly can. I mean you shouldn't. But I will. Arthur shot back. I've had enough of people running their mouths left and right. It's time they learned to curb their tongues. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Elle said. They shared a long look. Whatever Arthur linked, Elle made her storm out of the room. Charles followed. Noah urged Lillian to go with Amanda. Keep him in one piece. If you can, Noah told Arthur. He might have information we need. Arthur raised a brow. I'll see what I can do. Harvey and Noah walked out. The door floated to its proper place and severed Arthur and Albert from the rest of the world. Harvey shook his head. You and Arthur are more alike than you know. Noah almost coughed at that. He knew he was aloof at times. But no one was as lethal as Arthur. His simple presence in the room sucked the out of it. I left him untouched. Haven't I? Noah said, walking down the hallway. Untouched, Harvey said. You broke his cheekbone and bruised his neck. I chiesel I vicente. Noah growled. Unfortunately, Lily and Amanda waited for them outside. As usual, Lily and Rumor looks from passersby, being the only human in attendance in the history of the council that was bound to attract attention. I'll have one of my people hack into Albert's emails. She'll be able to find the email address of his son. Hopefully, it gives us something to work on. Harvey looked at Lillian. We'll hunt him down and make him pay. Lillian shifted on her feet. Thank you. Amanda squeezed Lily Ann's arm. I'll see you later. The couple left and Lillian turned her frowning blue eyes to Noah. You should have woken me up. Noah sighed. You're angry. Of course I am. She looked around at the interested immortals walking by, and dragged Noah by his wrist to the house. Noah felt his lips twitch up. She glared at him. I'm glad you're amused. Because I'm not. I had every right to be there. You didn't have to go through it. I would have told you the results of the tests. Noah said, shifting his hold so she held his hand. There was a possibility it could have gotten violent. She gave a cute little growl, and if he told her he thought it was cute, she would punch him. It should have been my choice whether to be there or not. You do the thing again where you think you can tell me what to do. If you want to be my alpha, then we have to reconsider this whole mating thing. We're not reconsidering anything. Noah growled out. Then you need to take a good look at the way you keep making my decisions for me. Lillian said. They reached their building and got in. Noah chewed on her words as she started up the stairs, never letting go of his hand. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbe, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I might have been rash this morning. Might. She shook her head and mumbled under her breath. Then they went in and Lillian headed straight for the kitchen. Noah sat at the island and watched her move around, opening cupboards, pulling out things from the fridge and slamming them on the counter. He was glad she decided to take her anger on something else other than him. She pulled out a bowl and started whisking what looked like a pancake mix. Soon, her shoulders relaxed and she began humming. She never stayed mad for long. Noah realized it was a gift he had every intention of treasuring. He wouldn't abuse her kindness, which meant he needed to consider her words seriously. Noah was an alpha. People usually went to him for decisions. He needed to start seeing Lillian as more than someone under his protection. She would be standing beside him as the alpha female. He needed to learn how to trust her with decisions of more than just her own life. She could be his sounding board, a person with strength that complemented his, someone he could go to with anything and everything. Noah rubbed his jaw. It would be a challenge, but he would learn. Having her beside him was the greatest blessing of his life. The pants izzled with the first pancake. Lillian blew out a deep breath and turned to him, a hand on her hip and a smile. Chocolate. Maple syrup or butter. Maple syrup and butter. Standing up, he started the coffee machine, found her plates, forks and knives, and set them on the island. She added another plate. Noah raised his brow. When he gets back. His heart warmed. Noah moved to stand behind her. He hugged her and kissed her hair. Sorry. I'll try to talk to you more about things in the future. She flipped the pancake and put her hand on his forearm around her waist. I know you didn't want to take me along because I freaked out yesterday when I saw him. You can't help your reaction. It's understandable, Noah said. After the pancakes were done, Lillian stuck Scene's plate in the oven and sat down beside him. She drenched her stack of pancakes with chocolate until her plate was a mountain of brown fudge. Chocolate with a side serving of pancakes. Noah mumbled. Lillian rolled her eyes. They ate in silence, mulling over the events of the day. After they were done with eating, Lillian sat back on the stool. So Albert is the twins' grandfather. Noah frowned. Just because they share DNA doesn't make him family. I know. Lillian sighed and looked at him. concern evident in her eyes. Amanda told me Achias, the descendant of a born shifter. Achias the alpha you told me about. Isn't he? The one whose line is rumored to have rogues in every generation. Noah turned and pulled her stool closer until she was between his legs. The twins will be fine. They have strong wolves. But their personalities are very balanced already. Their minds are pack-oriented. They're protectors. The possibility they run a risk of insanity is low. And well, make it even lower. Lillian took a shuddering breath and rubbed her face. I still worry. We'll worry together. Noah told her. And we'll work hard to raise them to be good wolves. You're not alone in this. You have me and the entire pack. Lillian's lips curved in a small smile that did odd things to Noah's heart. She leaned close and kissed him. Thank you, she whispered, blue eyes glimmering. Also, I think I need to talk to you about something. What is it? She rolled her shoulders back, her face determined. She said the words that made Noah's heart soar with hope. How do I go about being a vampire?